Hey everyone, and welcome to another Explainer. Today, we're tackling a really fascinating engineering challenge, paralleling two 5 kW inverters to get a massive 10 kW output. Now, if you've already got a 5 kW inverter and you find your power needs growing, just slapping a second unit on the wall seems like the absolute most logical next step, right?
But here's what you really have to ask yourself. Are you doubling your power, or are you actually just doubling your risks? Upgrading your capacity by adding that second inverter kind of seems like a straightforward plug-and-play job. But the truth is, it carries massive hidden dangers if the whole system isn't engineered holistically. We're going to break down exactly what those risks are and, more importantly, how to avoid them. Let's start with Section 1, the parallel illusion, and what most videos miss.
Okay, let's dive into this. A lot of folks expect this process to be a magic wand. You know, just plug in a comm cable, set one unit to master and the other to slave, and boom, you're done. But what's actually required is a whole different ballgame. We're talking rigorous DC math, precise cable symmetry, and some pretty complex safety coordination.
I mean, on the surface, the math is incredibly inviting. 5 kilowatts plus 5 kilowatts equals 10 kilowatts. It's so simple. But that AC math completely hides the true danger. See, the AC side, the power you actually use at your wall outlets, is basically a mask for the massive physical stress happening underneath the surface of your system. Moving right along to Section 2, the real power math, or the DC side story.
To really grasp that physical stress, we need to plunge underwater and look at the hidden iceberg of your installation. And it all starts with this core power formula. Power equals voltage multiplied by current. Or, if we rearrange it for our specific needs today, current equals power divided by voltage. You have to remember every single watt delivered to your AC load must absolutely, without exception, be pulled from your DC battery bank first. So let's actually run those numbers. Say you have a single 5 kilowatt inverter running on a standard 48-volt battery system. 5,000 divided by 48 gives us roughly 104 amps. That is the current being drawn by just one inverter. And hey, that's even before we factor in any efficiency losses.
Now, what's really interesting about this next bit is the jump. Brace yourself for a massive, shocking jump to 208 amps when we double our capacity to 10,000 watts. When you parallel two inverters, you aren't just doubling your usable AC power. You are completely, literally doubling the stress and the current demand placed on your battery system. 208 amps is an unbelievable amount of direct current.
And that brings us to this absolutely crucial takeaway. Your battery, not your inverter, is what determines your actual power limit. People get so distracted by the shiny new inverter ratings printed on the box, but in reality, your battery's internal discharge limit and your DC overcurrent protection dictate your true power ceiling. If your battery can't handle 208 amps continuously, well, you don't actually have a 10 kilowatt system, no matter what those inverters say.
All right, Section 3, synchronizing your inverters, getting them to agree.
Assuming your battery is up to the task, the very first rule of thumb is this: never ever parallel inverters unless the manufacturer specifically allows it. They have to inherently support parallel operation right from the factory. Why? Because they need dedicated internal hardware and communication cables just to talk to each other. You simply can't wire any two random inverters together and hope for the best.
When they do start talking, here's exactly what they're discussing. The master and slave inverters have to synchronize three specific parameters perfectly: frequency, phase angle, and output voltage. Their output waveforms must align flawlessly before their AC outputs can actually be combined safely.
Now, the irony here is that if they fail to sync up those exact parameters, parallel inverters will literally fight each other. Instead of powering your house, they'll push power directly into one another. We're talking dangerous circulating currents, extreme heat, severe equipment damage, and immediate fault shutdowns. They have to operate as one seamless team. But when they do team up properly, it's beautifully balanced. Look at this. With a total load of 6 kilowatts, inverters 1 and 2 output exactly 3 kilowatts each. If your house demand suddenly jumps to 8 kilowatts, they dynamically shift to handle 4 kilowatts each. When perfectly synchronized, they work together just like a single, highly efficient, larger inverter. Which brings us to Section 4, wiring and cable symmetry, or finding the path of least resistance. Now, cable symmetry isn't just a nice-to-have, it's an absolute engineering necessity. Essentially, it means you have to use identical cable lengths and identical wire sizes for both inverters on the DC side.
Doing this ensures you have equal resistance across the physical connections, which naturally results in perfectly balanced current sharing.
To actually achieve that perfect symmetry, both inverters must connect to a common positive and a common negative bus bar. You can't just stack a bunch of heavy wires onto a single battery terminal. Using perfectly rated common bus bars creates a shared power source, and that's what distributes that massive 208 amp load completely evenly between the two units.
And this brilliantly illustrates a simple rule of physics. Current naturally prefers the lower resistance path. Think about it. If you use an asymmetrical, slightly shorter cable for one inverter, that unit has lower electrical resistance. So it naturally pulls way more current, is going to get overworked, completely throw off your load sharing, and ultimately fail prematurely just from thermal imbalance.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, Avoiding Hidden Risks, and the Pre-Energizing Checklist.
Real quick, let's summarize the 5 major hidden risks that typical installation videos almost always miss. We've got unsupported units, unequal cables, an undersized battery bank, improper overcurrent protection like underrated fuses or busbars, and incorrect master-slave settings. Always remember, when you increase your power capacity, you are also radically increasing your fault current energy.
So, to avoid all that, you've got to run through a strict commissioning checklist before you even think about flipping that switch. First, confirm your polarity and COM cables. Second, double-check your exact inverter settings. Third, verify your busbar tightness. Fourth, confirm your protection devices are actually rated for that newly doubled current draw. And finally, confirm your battery can safely handle the load. Missing just one of these steps can easily lead to a catastrophic startup.
Which leads us perfectly to one final essential question. Your inverters might be ready to crank out 10 kilowatts, but is your battery? Look, paralleling inverters is an absolute game changer for scaling up off-grid or backup power, for sure. But that's only true if the whole system is engineered from end to end to handle the raw math. I really hope this explainer gives you the tools you need to build things safely and efficiently. Go double-check your battery bank's true capacity, stay safe out there, and keep learning.